To the Economic Development Authority meeting. It is Monday, April 8th at 7:05, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Francis, second by Henrik. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0 for the minutes. Next item of business is new business, and it's open discussion about what the commission would like to see going, oh no, we just did the agenda, we need to do the minutes. Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the December 11th EDA meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Francis, second by Burek. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Abstain. Was not here.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0, Commissioner Henrik abstaining. All right, next item of business is our new business, and that is our open discussion about what we'd like the commission to see, what we'd like to do going forward and see going forward. So I will turn that over to staff first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the commission. So I wanted to take this, I know that we've canceled the last few meetings because of a lack of agenda, but I made a vow that we would have a meeting tonight because still being, 6-7 months in, and Kevin being new. Jack, have you met Kevin?
No, yes, I
Adam?
did.
Kevin Larson,
Briefly, yeah.
our Assistant City
He let us know.
Administrator. So I wanted to take this opportunity for this meeting just to have kind of open discussion, help me understand what goals we have as the EDA, so we can kind of plan on things and move this forward in ways. So that's what I wanted to have for discussion this evening.
Okay. Thank you. We'll start with Mr. Henrik.
Gee, I don't have any opinions. Once upon a time, the EDA and the Chamber of Commerce would go and visit businesses. And since these two are brand new, they need to understand who the businesses are and who the property owners are. And it needs to be more than, oh, by the way, Jacob, let us know how it turns out. So that's my thing that, we did it, and we need to do it again.
And I think I've been a part of this commission now, this is my 9th or 10th year, and that has changed a little bit over time. I know at one point we did it with the chamber, one time we just did it with, not one time, a couple of visits we did with the entire EDA. But there's so much value in going to their place of business and us getting out of here and going where they are, that I would love to see that be a priority again.
Absolutely. And I know I have discussed that with Mayor Julie, because she had mentioned that, after I had first started. And we're getting to a point now where I can actually leave the office and go visit businesses, and it's definitely something that I would like to do and I see as a value, so.
And
For
a
sure.
drop in without anybody else would not hurt. Just for Jacob to say, hi, I'm your city administrator. Do
Yeah.
you know me? No, I don't.
Have you
I'd
been
like-
attending chamber meetings with Julie?
I have a few,
Okay. So you've met some of the business owners?
yeah.
But the problem with the chamber is I don't think the biggest businesses are.
Oh, I
not.
agree.
And so that's why we need to reach out to the ones that are the most important to the city and give us, I don't want necessarily, stature first, because we have a few that are recognized nationally and we need to work with them to make sure that they get the proper recognition from the city.
Yeah, and, I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with that, but I think, too, we do need to acknowledge that there are some of our larger businesses in town that are part of the chamber. Cassia is a very active member in the chamber, Herculift. So how we go about that, I think, is more the bigger challenge. Where do we visit, when do we visit? I loved it when we would do tours. Like, that's how I learned about McDermott and what they did, and again, huge business right here in our town. Not only does this affect the commercial, it really affects our public safety. So we were able to see it through that lens as well.
That's what I would like to do. You never really learn a lot about the business that's in town if you tour it. I mean, honestly, you learn more that way than just saying handshake and how's things going, and I'm Jacob, and
I mean, it's nice to go sit in their conference room, but I'd rather have a tour.
Yeah.
See the annual reports, you know, engage a little bit. So is there a consensus from the group? Is this something we'd like to see, or I didn't want to be giving direction alone if that's not what the group wants.
I had just suggested connections with the businesses, and I don't know what particular strategy you want to use on that. I do think site visits and tours are a good first start, but a business ought to be able to say, I know who our staff is. They ought to know who the council is.
I didn't know Kevin until today.
Yeah, we haven't even had a meet and greet with Kevin yet. He just started April 1, so not the best
Little
example,
spot.
sorry. And I know it's gonna take us doing the ask and the personal invite, but I'm still a firm believer, you still put it in the newsletter and the website, so no one can say, well, you never came and saw us. You know, throwing it out there that we'd love to set something up too. And we can definitely talk about it at Chamber too and work with them.
okay.
Well, and I wonder if a goal could be to somehow highlight our businesses too. How many of our residents know there's an XYZ company in town, or there's a water company, or there's whatever the 20 places are? I mean, do we do some proactive communication in our highlight a business every time we put a newsletter together?
I think that's a great idea.
Certainly could.
Mhm.
We have a lot of, you know, accountants, you know, tax preparers, a few people that might be looking for stuff like that more than they would be looking for a water well contract in Maple Plain itself.
Yeah, particularly some of the smaller one or two people businesses that are in town. I mean, everybody knows there's an insurance company because you see it as you drive by there, but how many of the other places that are in offices, I might want to give my business to somebody locally if I knew that they were there.
Mhm.
Now, shame on me. Do we have a business directory? Should we have a business directory?
We do have a business directory.
In the chamber.
It's
How comprehensive
We
is
used to
that?
have paper copies, we've gone to all electronic,
How's that been promoted?
just through the chamber.
Okay. I mean, my very question would pose that the publicity of that has probably not been what it could be.
Right.
Tagging on to Mike's point, how many people are in the chamber? 250, 200?
I think we're at like 44 businesses.
And how many people are in those businesses?
Oh. I don't even know. I mean, like I
But
said,
the-
one of them's
but
Cassia,
the
they're
population of
huge.
Maple Plain is just under, hopefully 2,000, hopefully hasn't shrunk closer to 1,750. There's 1,500 people that don't know.
Whoa.
Because they're not part of the chamber, so that's what I think Mike's point was, is that how do we get that out to the residents? Support your local businesses.
Well, not only that, but you take, for example, our biggest taxpayer in town is probably Proto Labs.
Okay.
And they are a international entity. They're a big player in what they do. But because they're not a member of the chamber, they're not in the directory.
Right.
So now, are you going to ask them to write you a automotive policy or clean your teeth or something of that nature? No, but from a standpoint of, we see you, I know what they do, because I've toured their facility before, and I was in that industry for 18 years. So I mean, it's easy for me, but as members of the chamber, as business owners, previous business owners in town, maybe it would be helpful if we could have a round table. I mean, I have a contact person that I think would be good for Proto Labs, for example, versus just starting to dial the front desk of Proto Labs. You have McDermott, you know, but I don't know, McDermott is in here, I believe, aren't they? Whatever. But I mean, it would be helpful if we maybe put our heads together and create a list of contact people and make it a soft introduction for Jacob and Kevin or the council or the EDA or whatever the case may be. But instead of saying, yeah, it's a great idea, go out and start viewing businesses, Jake.
Knock on doors.
Yep.
Well, and I did look at our website. We do have a business directory on our website, but it only has 8 businesses listed.
I believe we have more than 8 in the city.
Yes.
The
so
business has to submit their own to the city website one.
That's something though I think that we could work on updating. I mean, we can easily go on the GIS and pull up commercial and get a list of all of the businesses, and kind of start there.
Right, and I take nothing away from the chamber's work that they do, but I don't think it would necessarily replace the fact that the city could have a city-managed business directory that would be user-friendly for the folks that are in town. And then we're the promoters as a city of our businesses. And I do think that is part of our mission as a city.
Do we have any money?
Yes,
EDA?
theoretically.
Because I had talked to he's leased the building, the gymnastics facility down. Problem with the businesses down on Pioneer is, or not Pioneer, yeah,
Down that hill.
down the hill, is they're off the beaten path. They're off of 12. They're down there, and they just do their. So, what if we were to? We talked about building monuments at the east and west end and the north end of the city. What if we were to put a business monument, for example, on the corner of Hallgren and 12 that identified the businesses that were down in the industrial park down there? Is that a good use of EDA money to create a Maple Plain, stone and?
Well, I hear what you're saying. I think there would be value in that, but then what about all the other businesses in town? And then honestly, the majority of the businesses down there, they're not foot traffic businesses.
True.
I mean, other than like North Shore and Baggy Joe, people aren't coming in off the street to go to
Baggy
Viridian
Joe's
and
in Independent or Loretto now, so.
people aren't coming off the street to go to Viridian and McDermott
Correct.
and Proto Labs. I mean, you're coming there with, most of the businesses down there, you're coming intentionally.
Correct.
The awards.
But I
Winning
mean,
edge.
this same type of monument could be on the corner of 19 and Independence, recognizing
And the businesses there.
ABC and the boat outfit and Jack's Business and, just a monument that, it'd be a lot of money. It'd be tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, we've already got that neon sign at the fire department. That's the city's, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Why couldn't we put the, visit ABC Lumber? Why can't we put, have that, instead of just being public service messages, have some commercial messages on that also? I don't know what the restrictions are on this.
That'd be part of
that-
that promoting of our businesses. When we talked earlier about the newsletter, it could use our sign. Business of the month.
Rotate it once a month, pick a
Every 2 weeks,
business
one
and
a week?
one a week, whatever the case may be, and it just
That's-
rotates through the
Yeah.
thing, so every fifth thing says,
And of course, our safety would get more.
with logo and,
Yeah.
that's it. Now, we established
Say we'd have to rewrite the policy.
we established a policy on what the city could put up there and Jack, it was written such that we didn't offer publicity to a church that was having a rummage sale on Sunday because we risked that the atheists might want to advertise their meeting on Thursday. And so where do you draw the line? So, we might have to.
Just like we chose not to acknowledge one sports team for making it to state, we kept everything general.
Correct.
You know,
So
graduation
do
or
we have
But as
an
long as it's not-
Do we have an atheist church in town?
Well, I
No,
only use
I am actually serious.
I-
Because I see nothing wrong with, doing Christ Lutheran, doing, the Free Church, and anybody, because they're a business, they're in town, they're, and anybody that has a reasonable establishment should not be excluded. But that could be argued with. by-
No, I'm perfectly
But-
comfortable with advertising the church.
Right.
Where we drew the line was, they couldn't advertise that they were having a pancake breakfast on
Right.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Because it's constant
Yeah, no, I think
fundraisers.
that's, I
So, but
agree.
I don't have a problem saying,
If it's their.
church services are by these three, churches.
But then
and
you
they-
need to include them all. I mean,
Correct.
There's the Seventh-day Adventist,
Correct.
and then where do you draw those boundaries? Are you just going to do Maple Plain?
That's not my job.
But it is if we're giving this direction
Oh,
as
no, yeah, no,
EDA,
I think-
because
I
right
think
now
we-
the sign policy includes chamber. So if you're a chamber member and you're not in the Maple Plain district.
So Lindale Lutheran, would we include Lindale Lutheran? Because they're a chamber member.
But they're all independents.
Yeah.
Right. Or the independence businesses that are part of the chamber. I'm just saying, once we open a door, we need to be consistent. And do the nonprofits get the same publicity as the for-profits?
I think
And-
inside this Maple Plain city limits are all the people that should be on that sign.
Mhm.
And I think that's, thank you.
I would agree
I was
with that.
afraid to get crickets on that one.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a city sign, so,
It's an easy line to draw in the sand.
right.
Well, why don't we get the sign policy up in front of a workshop or something like that, and we can maybe craft some language that expands it a little bit, but keeps it fair and equitable.
Well, but what I'm hearing here is a discussion about, let's begin thinking of promoting our businesses, which it'd be nice to identify who they are first, and then it'd be nice to have a relationship with them, with the staff, then promoting them in whatever way it would be, whether it's the newsletter, a flyer, highlighted at a council meeting, or put them on the sign.
I mean, you could even do one, every other week, you do a different one in the leaflet.
Right.
Mhm. Exactly. With their logo and a little history and.
Business of this week is.
So that sometime, someplace, the business is chatting and going, guess the city really does care that we're here. That wouldn't be a bad thing to have happen.
Right.
And to answer your question, John, the EDA balance is $76,762.
76,000.
Yes.
And I used to be treasurer.
Let's spend some money.
Other thoughts, suggestions?
On that topic?
Well, in general. How are we gonna go forward to promote the relationships and the businesses and? Think we've got a good starting point?
Yeah, so more what I'm getting is visit the businesses, promote our businesses. That's what the goal is for the E EDA.
Get
In
to know-
addition to developing downtown.
Right.
Right.
Let's not forget that one.
Get to know our businesses, understand what they do, help them promote them, and be seen as a city that is partners with them.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think part of what ties into that is, again, I'd really like this, the, business of the month, and then we do kind of the full court press of highlighting them on the sign and the newsletter. I think, again, going and visiting, the business, getting to know them, but part of that I like and going to do the tour is that's where you get to find out from them, what are your pain points? What are, the issues that you're looking for? What do you need to continue to help grow, to, add additional jobs, to expand in the community? Doing is as much as you want when we have like, invite them in for coffee and cookies or stuff like that. That's good to get to know people, but going out to their place of business in a much more informal setting for them where they are, they're in their home field, they're showing you around their business, it's where they're the expert, that's where you can really start to develop that relationship, and then, a lot of times more so what individual businesses have to offer, and, similar to the meeting I was witnessing before this is, these are the issues I have with the city, but you don't necessarily bring them up unless there's a specific issue that you need to come and address, where it's a lot easier when it's what can we do to make this more helpful? And the monument signage, I think, is great, but that's more I don't think we would necessarily need to go down the road of putting in that monument signage. That is businesses and building owners would love to have access to a piece of land that they could put that on their own, because I know, as a commercial property manager myself, if they have a place to put that, they're going to write that signage rights into leases, and that's going to help them attract new businesses into their properties. It's something that tenants may pay a premium to be able to get, or even if it's something that would just be offered to the tenants there, they would gladly pay their own way to get their name out and visible in front of everybody. So.
Does Maple Plain have any restrictions to put any signs up that says Burgers and Caswell this way?
We do have a
Not that
sign
Burgers and
ordinance.
Caswell would. I'm just.
We have a sign ordinance for the
And
entire
Do
city.
we want to try to loosen that to get, rather than monuments, well, just going off of your, trying to combine these two, is some direction on what is down at the new industrial park, what's at the old industrial park? And the old industrial park is kind of self-sufficient, I'd hate to say that, with Larson Landscaping and the ABC and Bergerson. That's not necessarily a good example, but, maybe because our businesses are very well established, aren't they?
Well, maybe some of this is the discussion we have when we're out meeting them. Are there things that the city is doing currently that are getting in your way of growing, to the point you were making? Is there something in the way, something we ought to look at doing differently? And maybe the sign ordinance is one of those at that point, that gets in my way of promoting my business, because I can't put anything up in my thing, or I'd like to use fluorescent lights, for gosh sake.
Flashing fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
Backlit.
That's how it started. That's how it started, if I remember right. Eat at Joe's. Eat at Joe's. That's why it's there.
Well, and some of that signage, if it's along Highway 12, has MnDOT requirements too. Flashing signs with lights, and we'll want to be careful with signs along Highway 12, just because it adds as a distraction.
We have a very
Safety.
well-documented sign ordinance in the design guidelines on what we would like to see and what we wouldn't like to see.
When we follow it.
Oh, don't open that can of worms.
That's not part of EDA. Let's move on. Thank you, Connie.
I've sat through those planning commission meetings, we don't need to open that can.
Well, I think this provides good direction. I mean, I wanted to have the conversation so we could, get on a page and we have clear goals as to these are the things that we're gonna do to, go out, meet the businesses, find out what they need, find out what they like and dislike, and knowing that there's a phone call that they can make to my office if they need something, and so.
And Jacob, years ago, that 70-some thousand that's sitting in that was actually, we did a levy for EDA years ago, and it's just been sitting there. At one point, we did say we were going to create for lack of a better term, a beautification program, that if a business were to want to improve the look of their
we did
front, they could work with the city and we'd help provide some funding
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
it did not go over real well.
We did do that,
But we did
but we
a
didn't
few.
have very many.
Oh, yeah, nobody
people take
really
advantage
stepped
of it.
forward and said, hey, I'll
I
fix
think
the
we
front
went
of
through
my,
just a
well,
few
there was about that
$1,000.
many.
Yeah, I think we had two.
I think we spent 0 on that.
Oh,
Oh, I
okay.
thought we had two.
2?
I don't know if they ever came through though.
Oh, okay.
But that was another attempt at one point to connect with the businesses and make a difference in the appearance of places. We'd help you with some landscaping, redoing your frontage, paint it up, make it look nice.
A couple years ago, we tried to do a partnership with the business to do a sign. They were having some challenges. with
Yeah.
the new-
So is that money still there?
Yeah.
I want a new sign down at 5115 Industrial Street.
It'll only cost you $2.3 million.
Oh, wow.
2.2579.
No, this is good. We can definitely get us started and work on this, so.
And then next month, hopefully we'll have an update on downtown. Do we have anything?
Fingers crossed. I know Mark just reached out to him. He's hoping to get back to us. What did he say? Thursday or Friday? He might have something for us, so we'll see.
Okay, Commissioner Henrik?
Since I missed the December meeting, could you update a little bit on downtown?
Yeah. Do you want to take that one?
Yes, so there is a developer obviously is interested in the property. They've done a purchase agreement.
Sign?
Yep.
Okay.
Signed, through September. They have till through September, and they can obviously extend it 90 days, so puts them into next year. Right now, they're working on a market rate study to kind of see where their numbers and their loan will end up being. They'll get back to us on that hopefully Thursday or Friday, so I'm hoping next month we'll have something from them. And it's 100 market rate apartments, and it's kind of a tiered building, 5 stories, 4 stories, 3 stories.
Okay.
The first floor, west side is ground level parking. You can't see it, you know, because it'll look like storefront on the west side. And then underneath the entire building will be 1 story of underground parking, and then 8,200 square feet of retail space on the south side.
Yeah.
It's an L configuration with a surface parking lot facing Highway 12. Studios, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments.
Has anybody been through Mound lately to see that? Is that 5 stories or 4 stories?
Which one?
I'm not sure.
The one right across from
The
my
bank?
church?
Yeah.
The one between the church and the.
By the ice
Ace
cream
Hardware.
shop and the locksmith.
So if it's 4 stories, it doesn't stick out. 5 stories, I'm concerned about. We'll see.
I think it was
But-
tiered, though. It
It's
wasn't,
tiered.
it wasn't all
not-
5 stories.
no.
It was, architecturally, it was
Yeah.
very appealing because it was
Okay.
like 3 and 4 and 5. It was a
No.
tiered, if I remember
Because
correctly.
I did download. You owe me 27 cents for paper. See, Jacob?
See, Kevin.
But I like. Yeah, so I'm hoping it's well done.
Well, you've been doing this long enough to know that the chess pieces just year after year after year keep moving. One of my notes in here was that, you know, specifics on the status of Maple Development. Are they stalled or are they moving forward? Are they keeping staff up to date or are they working behind the scenes? Because we, as a group, go quarters without anything more than reading an update from Mark, for example, that might say, had a phone conversation with, you know, Maple Development, but, you know, there was some benchmarks in that timeline that said they had to have, in order for this year, they had to have something completed by this date and something completed by this date. Are they on schedule?
I would say yes, because we weren't planning to hear back from them till the end of March, beginning of April.
Okay.
And we're at the beginning of April,
All
so.
right.
And when Mark reached out to them, last week, they said Thursday or Friday, hopefully this week they'll have something for us.
But I
So-
totally agree with John for the first time ever, that we need, that we need benchmarks, we need, because it doesn't seem that these developers, we've been able to hold their feet to the fire and let us know what's going on, and if you're not keeping up,
Stay honest.
something's gonna have to change. Yeah. Oh, we need another 90 days. No, there's no extensions,
Keep
right?
them accountable.
I agree.
Gee, that's twice in one night.
Keep them accountable
No,
and keep them moving.
you've been doing this longer than I have, and I'm just puzzled at how this thing just ebbs and flows and changes, and people duck out and people come back in, and then it changes, and then all of a sudden, we got 75 market rate apartments that turn into.
100.
No, better
56,
yet, it
56.
turned into 68 subsidized apartments or something like that. We're like, what's going on, you know? And it just difficult.
Look at the smirk on that guy's face.
I'll believe it when I see it.
And I don't know if this, Jacob, I don't know if this was brought forth in front of the EDA or the council, I'm a little fuzzy. But we reviewed a first phase of an apartment complex off of Bud in
That
the
was EDA.
property south of Manchester, and that, and it was a two-phase component, but they were gonna do one phase first. Does anyone remember?
It was EDA.
Yep.
Is EDA.
I mean,
You know, that,
Planning.
Planning,
Commission.
sorry,
oh, it's
excuse me,
planning,
not
you know,
EDA,
a
planning.
year has passed and just nothing is, are there oars still in the water on that one? I mean,
I haven't heard any.
I haven't heard
Thing.
anything about that.
Yeah.
any people inquiring about the mixed use area of the or the Highway 12 Bud mixed use area, which would be east of the warehouse and north of the schoolhouse and stuff like that? That, what is that, like 12 acres or something like that?
Where?
Off Highway 12?
Discussion,
There is?
light discussion, but that's all I'm gonna say.
It's premature.
Oh, the old plastics company.
Yeah, the east of that,
Okay.
that,
Okay.
Yeah, there's
south
discussion.
of the storage facilities, and
Okay.
it's like, the land is golden, but nothing's ever transpired. You know, I suppose we could have built condominiums there, remember? Auto condominiums, auto mall.
And I remember this was maybe 2-3 meetings ago. Mark came into EDA and just gave us sort of a lay of the land of all the things that were being talked about, thought about. I found that very helpful just to ground myself in, all right, there is some activity, because in the absence of that, staff may know that there's some things gurgling, but we never hear that there's anything there.
Yeah.
So we go 6, 8, 10 months sometimes
Right.
and never hear anything. And I know there's a caution, you don't wanna necessarily be saying something in public, but
Yeah, that's why I like it when Mark does that, because then he's putting out the information that should be put out. And
Right.
I don't wanna say something just because I know about it or we're discussing it, cause I don't know if it should be quite said yet, so.
That was that meeting in October after Jacob came on board. We talked about the purchase agreement for downtown and the 100-unit markets, the Old Haven Homes, which is still
he just ran through a whole list of things.
Wank,
Yeah.
the schoolhouse,
29. the
Baker Park
villages.
Road, the 5-lot PUD,
Yep.
So the
Quick
schoolhouse is
Trip,
vacant now?
Caribou
No.
Cabin, Park Property, Gateway, you know, no calls, you know, it's.
Excel Renovation bought that, I believe is the name of it, right?
Where?
The
What?
schoolhouse, isn't it Excel Renovation?
I mean, I guess one question I wanna ask you guys is, do you, if that's all we have would be Mark's updates, do you still wanna have a meeting? Just to talk about those updates? I mean, if we don't have anything specific else on the agenda, do you guys still want to have an EDA meeting for that?
No.
I'd rather go into businesses and visit
Mhm.
and meet people. I mean, I think those updates are valuable, but not that often.
Okay.
I mean, things don't move that fast in this
And
world.
When
once
we're-
I start
when
doing-
we're walking from business, from the cars to the business, we can get updates. So I think I agree with you that, you know, we do a lot of conversations when we're walking to the different businesses or getting together. So.
And, you know, do we need to consider, you know, do we do a couple businesses a night? Do we need to consider, you know, moving EDA to 5 o'clock so we can go at the end of a business day or earlier in the day? I mean, I don't know a lot of business owners that are gonna wanna stay till 7, so we
Yeah,
can
most
come
of
to
our
their business.
Meetings were noonish.
Are you guys planning on doing these, or I thought myself and Kevin would be doing these, or more so me?
Well, I think you need to do some, but I think we should do some too.
Okay.
Well, then let's mix it up. I don't think it would benefit anyone if 5 or 6 or 7 EDA members and a city administrator all go into a business on the same time. I mean, break it up, an EDA or 2 members and city administration this day and 2 other members and the city administrator on another day.
Well, you,
I think it would depend where we're going. I mean, because if I think of like when we went to Proto Labs,
You know,
if they're gonna give a tour, they're gonna give a tour, you know, versus 2 people or 7, it doesn't matter. When we went to McDermott, I mean, it's the same thing. I think it's different versus if we're going to visit the storyteller.
Or Taylor's on Main,
Yeah.
you're gonna do 2 people,
Right.
maybe.
good point.
Yeah, but if we're going into a large business, you know, Veridian, where I know I've toured that with the congressman, and they showed us the weapon-mounted cameras and how they're being built. I mean, there's value in a larger group.
well, I'm gonna start with first coming up with a list. I'll
Okay.
get the one from the chamber, I'll pull, from the Hennepin County Tax, GIS, all of the businesses. I'll come up with a list of the businesses, and then just kinda start making notes, you know, is it a group, or is it a personal visit, is it a group, you know?
Well, then, with each one of those businesses, when you start to make this list, share it with us, because we might be helpful in contact and a contact name, proper contact name, and a telephone number.
Yeah.
And then that becomes part of the global document that you're creating.
Yeah.
And there might be some value in maybe you and Kevin coming to a chamber board meeting as well.
It's one, Nick, is it?
Tomorrow's a
Tomorrow?
general membership meeting, but I'm
Oh,
talking
but
a
you're saying a
board
board
meeting.
meeting. Okay.
Yes, and then you guys can, I mean, why recreate the wheel if we can
Yeah.
use that business directory and then talk about the vision and get some ideas from those business owners as well,
Sure.
people that are actively engaged.
Perfect. I'm
Good.
excited.
Well, thank you all for being flexible and willing to come with kind of a vague agenda, but still an agenda. I think there's power in collaborating and talking through things out loud and brainstorming together. So I think that's important, and sounds like you've gotten some good direction to help you to continue to move forward, and also to
Yeah.
officially welcome Kevin and to meet all the commissioners, so that's important as well. Any other business to come before the EDA tonight? Okay. With that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Warden.
Second.
Second by Henrik. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned at 7:43.